Jean-Philippe demos, magic demos, or just PRs. Okay, we'll do that. We'll do that. And Git extensions. Where is that? It's a picker. Localized content picker. So, okay, we'll start with Orchard 1. Nothing was merged on Orchard 1. It's good. Orchard core. More things. So what do we have? The dev branch is the purple and pink one. We have don't hear update permissions. I think we saw that. Update previous 7 version so that it works under VS in debug mode. So this is on the 3.0 branch. Oh, I can talk about it. Demos, we have JP and we have perf. Then still need add newtons of JSON for GraphQL. This is on the 3.0 branch again. The idea is that in 3.0, MVC is not using Newton JSON soft, the JSON.NET package to output the payload in JSON from APIs. It's using SystemText JSON, which is now part of CoreFX.NET Core. But we do use JSON.NET to represent the content items internally. So when we try to do a get API on the content item, then it will try to serialize it using our custom serializer, and then SystemText JSON doesn't work with that, doesn't know how to serialize a JObject. So we need to call add Newton JSON soft, add Newton soft JSON, sorry, like this after the add MVC call, so that it's using JSON.NET still and not SystemText JSON. There is no much difference, just more features for JSON.NET. It's a little bit slower, but when you have millions of requests per second, so we don't really care. And the goal is really that they need to be able to ship some JSON serialization without having to rely on third-party dependencies, because this is part now of the SDK. So we ship, well, .NET Core ships with only Microsoft code. That's the goal of this library instead of using JSON.NET. And then still on this branch, I merged fixing self-contained deployment due to package downgrades. When we were doing self-contained deployments, we will see lots of package downgrades. So technically, the SQLite native library that we take from NuGet will point to an older version of the net standard, and that will conflict with the one we are using for every other library. So when we deploy in self-contained, it could not guess which version we would want, the old one or the new one, because we never specified, and it was happening for many CoreFX libraries. So the solution is apparently to reference that version of net standard library in the meantime until SQLite ships as net standard 2.0 also. And from the EF team, I think it should be done this week. We'll see. But then it's fixed, and now we can deploy the Core 3.0 branch using self-contained. So that's good, and I will show you why it's good later. On the dev branch, this is all we have on the here, and then going back there, return as published in ContentPicker result when used with the Lucene. ContentPicker result. I don't remember. Jasmin explained to me, but I don't remember. What was it? Made sense when he explained to me. We are missing that for sure.
Yeah, the idea is
no,
that
it's not that formation. Oh, ContentPicker result. Okay. So in the ContentPicker result, we don't know if the item has been published, and Lucene only has the published items, so we should only take the ones which are published. Okay. When we pick them. Log invalid SMTP certificate info. So we had a long issue that a user could not send emails to Office 365, and after lots of logs added by Michael, the user found out that it was because of an antivirus which was blocking all emails, outbound emails using the SMTP port. Well, at least the ones from Orchard to his email box. So once he disabled the antivirus, it was working again. And we had a big PR that would add more logs for everything, and we removed some things. Oh yeah, this PR from Michael was adding also a way to bypass the certificate validation, but now we found the actual issue, and it's wrong to bypass the certificate validation. He just took the part that adds some logging about the certificate validation itself. So if there is a bad certificate, expired, or the chain is not valid, then it will show up in the error log. So that's the goal of this PR. Log invalid SMTP certificate info. Localized date picker from Hisham. Merge this PR. The idea is that there is a new editor for the date field that is a localized date field, and in this case, instead of using the default jQuery date editor, it will use a jQuery UI internationalized editor that will be based on the current culture to display the calendar with the current culture. So it's adding this JS file. You see here? It's a localized date-time picker. Beautiful. I think in Orchard 1 we could, we had the possibility to also override the things here. We might add it later, but it's not really necessary for now. It's still doable later. Okay. Then on the dev branch, oh, Jasmin is working on Lucene analyzers, a way to define which analyzer to use with an index. I haven't looked at it yet. If you want to do the demo, Jasmin, if it works, feel free to do it. Nah, why would you change this?
Oh, it's not
shouldn't be necessary. Oh, you changed some things. You moved it. Interesting. That's why it's not new. It's just moved. Okay, good. Fixes widget list delete. It was missing the correct properties. I can't hear you.
1, 2, test.
And I know people can hear me because Philippe heard me. Okay. Yeah. Just well, I mean, you can't hear me. No, I can't hear. Oh.
Yes, everyone can hear me,
wait.
But Sebastian can't.
Ah, that works now.
1, 2, test.
Thank
yes.
you. Did you see what I did?
Yeah.
I clicked on this little button. It was muted. Okay. Well, fortunately, nobody talks ever. So thank you, Jasmin. So you said something. Okay. And so what did you say?
Yeah, I was just saying that it was not really. I just started working on that.
That's okay. Yeah. Good. Good. Then I was saying fixes WidgetsList delete, update permissions. We'll see later when it's done. Order ContentPicker items by DisplayText. Sounds logical, so we'll trust you that it should be done this way. Clarify that differentiator is the menu name. Yeah, that's an old PR. It's just that to be sure that it's a type there for the alternate. Because there could be a conflict between the name and the alias, but no, it's the title of the menu, not the alias, that is used in this case. And that's it. Then, questions about the changes? Demos. So we have Jean-Philippe and myself for some things. You want to start, Jean-Philippe? Okay, so I will start. I will start with what did I say? Oh, the 3.0 branch. Yeah, the 3.0 branch. So what I wanted to show. So the two things about the 3.0 branch. Let me check. I found the page. .NET Core schedule. Roadmap. I found a page that explained when .NET Core will be, the 3.0 should ship, global availability. And as long as I can't find it again, I won't say what I read on this page, because we never know. But from the data I saw, and I won't disclose it until I find the URL again, I will look for it once Jean-Philippe is doing his demo. We should not have shipped the RC of Orchard Core, which means we might ship the RC with 3.0 directly, which is good because it's faster and has more features. And for us, it's just standard. Well, there is no migration; it will just work with a new framework. You just need the framework to be there to be able to develop with that. And also, I got it working with self-contained, which means I can now run the benchmarks of .NET Core with Orchard also. So if you go on this URL, this is the benchmarks that we track for all ASP.NET applications, and there is a page called Custom, where there is the list of all the benchmarks and all the statistics we track for the benchmarks on ASP.NET. Okay, like for instance, you can see that these scenarios went down, are slower, but it's actually the network which went slower because it's network bound and the network went slower, so it regressed. And in this list we have many scenarios, and now since I can run Orchard Core on 3.0, there is this one, Orchard block. So now it's tracking the perf of Orchard with the blog recipe on the home page of the blog recipe. This is just the first thing to add. I took the first recipe, the blog, I took the first page, which is the blog list with one blog post, and I'm tracking the performance. And what we see here, we see on this machine the request per second. We have two sets of machines, an Azure machine, I haven't checked that by the way. This is an Azure D3v2, a small one with 4 cores, and this is a physical machine, which is the same as Tech Empower. And we have the Cloud Azure one with Linux and Windows, and same thing for physical Linux and Windows. And this is how here, because it's unchecked, we can see on the physical machines the perf comparing Orchard blog recipe on Linux and on Windows. And on Windows it's a little bit faster than on Linux by 10%, 10% approximately. Okay. We have the latency, 50th percentile, but we can also check the different latencies. The startup time, so the green bar here is the actual startup. So from .NET Run to application is restarted. So it's like 600 milliseconds. And then the first request is approximately 4 seconds. The first request 3.5 seconds. So the full thing takes 4 seconds to start on this machine using SQLite. The memory usage is tracked. Okay. So we can see how much memory it's using under loads. Like this is the maximum throughput the site can have on this kind of machine. And this is the memory that it takes at this throughput. And the higher you will get throughput, the more memory it will use, because there are more bytes in memory and because more requests to process at the same time. And then we track the CPU usage, low CPU on Linux, and higher on Windows. On Windows it's close to 100, which is what we want. On Linux it's not, which is not what we want. So it means there might be an issue on Linux in CoreFX, Coursera, or aspnet to support this kind of load. We can see the history of bad responses, like 500 or things like this. There was a run with some issues, 7 issues out of maybe thousands. And in Windows it was very stable at 0 issues. And then we can see we track also the GC stats, how much the GC is working. And here we can see, I will show you here, time in GC. This is the most important number. So the percentage of time that the CPU spent in GC instead of processing stuff, so just collecting stuff instead of doing stuff. And it's from 8 to 10%, which is super high. We usually have less than 1%. So here in this case, 10% is it's important. And we need to look into that. And it correlates with the allocations rate, which means we allocate too much objects, and the LOH, large object heap, which means we have some big objects which are more than 80 kilobytes, and these are super expensive to collect. So I clicked on something I should not have clicked. What did I click on? Okay, restored. So we need to look into that. And a simple profile will tell us what objects we create that are going in a large object heap. Locking contention is not very good. It means there are locks. Some things are locked, but that happens sometimes. Thread pool stats, here nothing interesting. But the main thing here is time in GC, lots of LOH objects, and that we can track the perf over time. The good thing is that this way, when we do changes in Orchard, we'll see how if we added a perf issue on this scenario at least. And this scenario is using Liquid, yes, SQL, widgets, because there are layers on the blog. So database, rendering in Liquid, shapes. So that's pretty interesting for the type of scenario we want to provide. Yeah, and that's, I think that's super interesting to be able to track it. So we'll find the regressions either in Orchard core itself or in .NET. If they do something that can impact us, we'll see that. And for instance, there is some work with the GC team. They are looking into this scenario because this is the first big scenario they can see to analyze how the GC behaves and find some issues, how they can optimize stuff on actual users' loads on .NET Core 3. That's it for that one. If I can leave that, or maybe I'm on the correct machine. I'm on the correct machine. Be right back. Thank you, Gabo. That's not the page I was looking for. September 2019. Okay, so I can say September. I saw something more precise than that, interestingly. So yeah, so September is in 3 months. So I don't think we might ship at the same time maybe, but that's about that time. So I think we should just wait for 3.0. And if this is GA, you see there is an RC in July, which means we can rely on the RC to move to the RC, because then the bits will be stable, there won't be breaking changes, and then just bug fixes, but we should not be impacted, or at least we can report the bug fixes, the bug we find to get them fixed. So that's a good schedule for us. It's not like end of 2019, which will be more critical for us, but September is, or July is more something we could do. So we could migrate to 3.0 in July when they ship the RC, if they follow this schedule. Okay, I have other dates, so we have to check when it was updated. May 7. There is another page, another public page that has that. Why are you doing that? Interesting. Thank you. But I will find. I know where the URL is in my mailbox. So I will check once Jean-Philippe wants to share his screen. Are you with us? Be right back. So we had a long discussion with Jean-Philippe on Thursday about the localization, and he's working on 2 PRs. I think so. The culture picker and, well, the culture picker, there are 2 things actually. Or am I talking actually about the same thing? Let me see. Well, yes, the culture picker and the localized content picker. Yeah, 2 things that he's working on. So we'll see what he's doing. Can you see? Everyone can see your screen, and nobody can see my screen, right?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. So I'm just going to do a quick demo. It's a new type of field that I created for my use case I ran into when localizing some content. So basically, we have a hackathon. We're building some kind of hackathon platform using Orchard, and we have a hackathon content type that is localized because we want the front end to be French and English. And we have a team that is not localized that's assigned to hackathon. And my use case was, when I'm on the team page, I want to see the localized version of the hackathon for the title, let's say. So this team is for this hackathon, but I wanted to localize the text, which I couldn't do easily with the content picker. So I created a localized content picker field that that's basically store the localization set. So I just created a new site here, and I added the localization part to the article content type. So localization, and I went and I created a couple articles. So this one's draft, so these 2 are together, and these 2, so an English and French version, same thing here. And then I went and I created another type that would be kind of like my team that has, wait a minute, that localized content picker field. So when you add field, there's this new one that's basically the same as the content picker, just targets the localization set, like I mentioned. So when you go and you create a new article picker, it's a basic example, but you see the 2 type of article, and if you type about, you will get the English version, but not the French one. And if you select this one and you want to, I didn't allow multiple. Okay, let me allow multiple here. Sorry. So basically, this is really, I mostly copied these settings from the content picker. Allow multiple and save. I'll go back, create this one. So apropos, let's add apropos. If you type about, you won't be able to add it because the localization set is shared here. So I just made sure that you could only select 1 item per culture. Yeah. Which I'm not sure the UX is great on this. Maybe this should say this is the French version and we should have a display the localization set here. I'm not sure, but this is how I made it work for now. And that's about it.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
So here, what cultures do you display when you
So
type
this
search?
is all of them, only the current one. So I think the default, my site is defaulted to French, so
Okay.
you're going to see
So you
those.
only show the ones in the current culture?
I think so, yes. So if I go, let's try it. So if I change this to the default to be English, let's see if it should change it to. No, it doesn't. Eh? That's weird. I wonder. So maybe is it like this? Can you change it here?
No, it's because of your browser settings.
Yeah.
Your browser maybe sets the French by default, and French is available, so it takes French. But now, yes, try that. Yeah, local.
No.
Same thing.
I wonder what I did.
So it's not local, it's culture. Culture equals.
Oh, culture. Let's see. No? Oh, I must have done something, but anyway, my goal was that it would display the ones in the current culture of the thread culture. If that's a bug, I'll try to fix it.
Yeah. Maybe it's just the way we selected the culture, which is wrong. But no, okay.
Yeah.
And
so
then when it renders the localization set.
Yes. Well, it's the same as the content picker, except you get the localization set. So I think I create what do you call it? A liquid filter that will render the item that will get you the items for the current culture.
I see. And one for the specified culture is for the current. Does it make sense to have one also that will? No, actually, maybe you should be able to load an item from its localization set and the culture in liquid. Does it make sense? Maybe.
Yeah, I thought we could expand on these, but
I don't. Yeah, right now I don't think we need it, but at some point we might need it.
I had a question. I didn't really test this, but is this supposed to work? So I used the template context .cultureinfo.name. So I assume that.
I don't think it will work because this. I have to check what culture info returns. I think this. What is that context? The template context?
Yeah.
Let me check. I'm checking on my site. Fluid.
Because I could make it a parameter as well. I wasn't sure which way to go.
No, I think you should use the current thread UI culture, not this one.
Okay.
And if I'm looking on my site and culture info. No, it's just it's culture info environment culture by default, and it's just a way to change what culture it will use to set to serialize the strings, and maybe I should actually define it to the should I use, I don't know, maybe it should be initialized to the current UI culture also.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
So I wasn't sure what this was for, but I looked in the Fluid documentation and it said that localization you could use this. Okay.
Why don't use it? Because it's not set correctly. Once it's set correctly, maybe you will be able to use it, but I don't think we set it in the template context that we pass here. Okay. And do you have a demo for the content picker?
The culture picker?
Culture picker.
Yeah, I think Jean-Thierry actually made a bunch of commit on my branch. I asked his help for the best way to do it.
That's a lot of.
And he tried a bunch of different things. But I think basically right now it's not working as it's not completed.
Okay, so just to summarize the discussion we had on Thursday, so the difference with Hisham's PR is that you are using a single CSHTML file to define the shape. You don't use a shape provider. So open the file, Content Culture Picker CSHTML. I see it at the bottom. Oh, I saw that. It was there. It was in Git extensions, but.
Oh, sorry. I just want to make sure I get the latest.
Okay.
If I go this PR, you could show it to this one.
So Culture Picker, as a reminder, is technically a drop-down listing all the supported cultures, and you select which culture you want to see when you're on a website. So here, what you did is a CSHTML file.
CSHTML here.
Content Culture Picker.
Right.
That lists all the cultures and will render a select. What? No, div. Now it's a div with links.
It links, yeah.
Yep. So each link will call into a custom controller that is in the same module that will switch the current page to the equivalent in the targeted culture. So the goal is that if you are on an article in French and you want to see the English one, you click on the link at the top with the English flag or English text, and this link will go to a controller that will look for the page you want to translate and the language you want to target. It will look for the correct localization of this page and redirect you to this localization. And the goal is that if it doesn't find any localization of this article into the targeted language, it will redirect you to the home page of the targeted language. So if you say, I want to go in English, and there is no current page in English, at least you will go to the English home page. That's the goal. And so this is a CSHTML here. And did you create another one for the items, or just this one? Like one for loading and one?
I had two, but I think he changed it to one.
Because he was at we need to. I will tell him.
Yeah.
Or you can.
I'm supposed to Skype with him at some point.
Good.
I think different time zone is is causing issues.
Well, for him there is no time zone.
No.
His time zone insensitive. Whatever you want, he will be awake and talk to you.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
Like this afternoon, call him. You will see. He will be there. Even for me, which is worse, like because I'm on West Coast, okay? You're in Montreal, so for you it's 2 hours or 3 hours more than me, so it should be easier for you. For me, he doesn't care. At 5 p.m. for me, he's still there, like 4 a.m. for him, doesn't care.
Okay.
Sleeping is useless. So I was saying that we need two files, one file, one CSHTML that will contain all the loading and initializing the model, and another one that will just handle the rendering, so that in your views, in your themes on the front end, if you want to customize this set of flags or list or drop down or whatever you want to render, however you want to render the culture picker, you will just have one file to change, which is a file that contains only the HTML, not the list of cultures.
Yeah, so if you see my screen now, this is my original one. I had this one that just loads, and I called it Content Culture Picker Render, which basically just showed the HTML.
Yes, and we might want a third one, which is Content Culture Picker Link, maybe.
Just for the link.
Just for the link, because I assume nobody will change the link.
Yeah.
What I mean, we might not want to change the link, but you just want to change the container. I don't know, but yeah, as long as we can copy paste that. But if we can also reuse the link, at least we could also say, oh, call into the link, and the link will take the base shape. I think that's what we do in the menu items. If you want to reuse the link, so we don't have to write that all the time. You see, all these parameters and everything. And this way, in the for each, you will just call display new dot menu item picker link, or morphing to the link, and then calling into the link shape. This way it might be easier. Okay, that's great. Thank you.
So hopefully soon we can merge it, or
when it's done.
Yep.
Thanks a lot. Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
So I will share again. And I found, I will mute you because you have lots of friends and colleagues. I will, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So I found this page. Platform support policy.net core. I don't know how I found it. Someone tweeted about it. And I clicked the link. I was surprised. And there are some days. So here it says September 23rd. Okay, that's on the website. It's public. Whatever. It might change. That's what it says here. Original release date. That's why I was, yeah. But that makes sense with September. Okay, and if there is something before that is an RC or go live version, we can then switch to 3.0. Closing this one, and that's it. Questions, comments, complaints? All good. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining us. We'll see each other on Thursday, but warning, don't quit right now. I will go on vacation this weekend. I'm going to France and for a month, and like every year when it happens, I might miss some meetings. I will try not to. The first one is on the Tuesday, which is the day after I arrive, so the jet lag will still kick in, but I should be able to do it. So if you don't see me by 5 minutes after the meeting, don't stay more. And if I can't do it and I can't send an email, a message on Ether, I will do. Okay? So just to let you know. So in theory, I have nothing preventing me from joining the meeting next week, but there might be things I don't know yet. Okay. Thanks everyone. See you soon. Bye bye.